what you portray, it's not like you have doubt, but you don't have that, this is how it's going down.
Oh, no, I look in the mirror and think I suck every day.
See, but
I self-deprecate. I'm not one of those, like, self-positive, talk myself up. I feel like I suck, really? And I have to play the next day to prove myself wrong.
Lead by Example with Bob Myers is presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. You bet, you get with Caesars Rewards. Must be 21 or older.
Welcome to Lead by Example. I'm your host, Bob Myers. Today, I could list all your accolades, but there's so many. I'm just gonna say your name, Diana Taurasi. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna do it, but you've won everywhere, all over the place. I don't want to diminish that. And you just signed a 2-year deal to keep playing. Yeah. Was that automatic in your mind, or was there a thought of, I don't know what's left?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like at this point, I'm always doubting myself and debating with myself. Is this it? Is there more? Do you want more? Are you willing to get back in that foxhole and do it all over again? You know, because as you know, ex-players, there's a process that you have to really indebt yourself to. Yeah. And I got to that point where I'm like, no, I want to do it again. I want to see if I can do it again and do it a little bit better and see if I can push the envelope a little bit more.
Was that easy to figure that out?
No, I mean, after the season, I turned everything off for about 2 months, and I really just thought about, do I want to keep playing basketball? Yeah. Do I want to continue doing the things that I have to do to feel like I'm prepared? Mm-hmm. You know, I've been through the years where I haven't been prepared early when I was young, and I'm like, there's a lot more work that has to be done if you want to start a season, and I'm just like, I'm ready to do it.
So so is it just that you loved, is it as simple as that, or is it I want to reach this accolade or win one more of these, or I love my teammates, or I got one life and I'm going to spend as much time playing the game as I can?
I mean, I guess it's all those things, right? Maybe there's a little fear of what comes next. Why not keep playing basketball if they keep paying you?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. That might be a part of it. And there's, still something that tells me I can do a little bit more.
Yeah, right. On the floor?
On the floor, yeah.
Like what?
I don't know. There's still there's this little seed in me that wants to keep being watered to see if I can just master it a little bit more. Whatever that means. Does that mean win a championship? Sure. Yeah. Does that mean, I don't know. It means it's a whole bag of things that, I still want to try to get to.
Yeah. UConn. Yeah. You're so affiliated with them for good reason, right?
For sure.
And you would have killed an NIL, right?
Oh my God. Can I get some back pay?
Yeah, can you?
I mean, I'm trying to. Soon I do this little show in the NCAA, for the Final Four. Yeah. So we're trying to get him for a little back pay.
It's crazy. I mean, honestly, if NIL had existed,
man,
a million, you think?
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
But you know what? Looking back on it, it's what made me who I am. Yeah.
Would that have affected? Let's say you got that.
Oh.
Do you go 39-0? Do you win?
Do I stay in the gym all day?
Yeah. I don't know. Do you?
No, I don't.
I think you would.
I don't know. I think back on it I was so hungry when I was young.
You would be, to me, I don't know you that well. When I tell my boss, our owner, when we have to make a decision to pay someone, right, which is a lot of money in our
It is.
It's not quite the same, but it's money that you would just, it's hard to fathom, right? Here, Diana, here's $150 million. And we sit there and we pause and say, should we do this? I would say, this woman doesn't play for money. Right. It ain't going to change anything she does. I would say that about you. Mm-hmm. And you're saying, you wouldn't.
I don't know, but everything's...
Yeah, you don't know.
Everything is kind of a ripple effect of something else. Right. Growing up, we didn't have a lot. My dad went to work every day. My mom went to work. We were just paycheck to paycheck like a lot of us grew up. So there was that inner hunger to do a lot, to take care of your family, to get to the next, place. And when I was in Connecticut, I was just hungry to be the best player, to get to where I had to go next. And then that was kind of my roadmap to getting to where I am now, WNBA, going overseas. That to me was a big marker for me, because, there's upward mobility overseas. You start in a little team in Moscow, you see the big clubs, and you want to get there, but you have to start somewhere. Right. So to me, that was a big driving force in putting everything into it to get to the next spot, to get to the next place. And this generation's got a lot to battle with.
Yeah. Oh, this is
the generation of too much. Too much attention, too much coaching, too many individuals, too many sneakers, too much money at an early age. I mean, where are they going to find that grit and that motivation when they have everything already? Yeah. I mean, human beings are human beings. It's not like everyone's completely different.
Right.
Everyone's made out of the same stuff.
Yeah. Was there a story, you've spoken publicly all the time, and somebody says, what made you you? Is there a story of a young you with your parents where something changed? Something happened, they said something to you, you saw something they did, and something shifted, and you would retell that story and say, this was a moment in my life?
I think it was a collection of moments. It was a pattern that we saw every single day. Like, when you wake up every morning and you're like, hey, where's Dad? Oh, he left at 4:30 in the morning to go to the steel shop. Yeah. And that just is like a reoccurring pattern of like, oh, wow, you do what you have to do to get by every single day, no matter what. Yeah. No matter if you don't feel well, if you don't want to go to work, if you don't like your coworkers. Like, that's what I try to get across to these kids. I was like, you got to go to work and do it. Yeah. Like, that's the battle of overcoming things, is doing it every single day. Yeah. And that gives you the self-gratification of, you know what, I overcome something.
What were they, so you had a moment later you're talking about your dad waking up that early, going to work every day, where you realized not everybody did that. No,
I think it was later, because when you're young, those moments just kind of like pass you by. Yeah. We have kids, there are probably moments that have no clue. Yes. Like, there's this great meme where there's this parent changing a kid. And, in the meme, they're like putting on their diaper nice and, calm. But in reality, you're like, get this diaper on and go to bed. You know what I mean? So, like, you could be living a moment that's, like, actually very different than what you think it is. So I think later on, when I understood the sacrifice that they made.
You saw it.
And we moved to Argentina, where my dad migrated to Argentina when he was young, and that's where my mom's family's from. And we actually saw how they grew up in Argentina, which is way different than what they have here. Yeah. And I mean, they changed their whole lives. Everything. They dropped everything to come to a country where they didn't know the language. They didn't know anyone to, give us a little bit better than they had growing up. And that notion alone just always
stayed with you.
Oh, for sure.
I had a hard high school coach. And like one of those kind of coaches. Yeah. And so he went overboard, like that era did. A lot of coaches pushed it too far. Yeah. I don't know if you ever had a coach like that.
Yeah, his name's Coach Auriemma.
Okay, well, but pushed it like to where everybody's uncomfortable, So So I came home and said to my dad, I said, I don't know if I can do this. And I loved playing. It was, that was the one thing I knew growing up. And I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he said, you go talk to the coach. Did you have a moment? And I remember thinking, wait, I got to go fix my problems?
Oh, gee, what a notion.
Right. Which I think when you talk about today.
What a notion.
Right. So did you have a moment, whether it was at UConn or high school or even WNBA, where you said, that was something that gave me confidence? There was a moment of adversity where it was uncomfortable.
Well, I think making that decision to go to Connecticut was the uncomfortable decision to make.
Why?
Well, I grew up in LA. I loved UCLA. I loved Stanford. I loved being on the West Coast. That's where my family, my friends, that's where I grew up. That's all I knew. And I took a visit to Stores, which, if anyone's been to Stores,
you'd be careful,
you'd be surprised it's even on the map.
Yeah.
That's how small of a town it is, in the middle of, this forest, and, you take the highway there. I remember when we got there, my mom was like, I don't like this place. And I'm like, what's wrong with it? Yeah. She goes, there's no traffic. And I'm like, oh man, we're in trouble. She goes, there's no street lights.
Yeah.
I know, she's like, where's the 60, going to San Bernardino? I was
Why are these cars moving?
And, that was like what we grew up with, busy, a lot of people around, getting to different places. And, Coach Auriemma was my uncomfortable moment of my life.
So was it because people were pressuring you to stay, or you just felt like, this is way outside my comfort zone? This is not...
It was like I didn't want to go because it was so far, and then I wanted to go because I knew it was the right thing. It's what I needed at that time.
And you knew that?
Oh, I knew it. I knew it 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I needed someone to really like you said,
Yeah.
put their thumb on
Yeah,
me and
yeah.
like, I needed to be pressed.
Yeah.
Like I knew I could have
It
went to
doesn't
LA.
feel like you're that type of person.
I know, but I am.
Yeah.
When it comes to basketball, like discipline and scheduling and like
So you
doing
wouldn't
the
show
work-
up on time?
Well,
I mean, okay, so let me say that differently.
I mean, I was late today.
Okay, we have a player. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna use Draymond as a comparison.
yeah.
There is zero doubt of his competitiveness.
Absolutely.
There is zero doubt of his will and his passion. But you're right. I mean, without structure, he
Right.
he struggles sometimes.
Absolutely.
Is that a fair?
I think early in my career, I
Yeah.
really needed that structure.
Yeah.
And I struggled in Connecticut when I got there. I was like, we're going to run what at 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
We're going to run the mile? Why? I play basketball. Like, what do I need to run the mile in 6:20? I'm like, 9. Breakfast club every morning for 2 years.
Yeah.
Running with all, all the kids are going to get cut.
Yeah.
And he put me through a
Did
gauntlet
you
of,
say to him, "What are we doing?"
oh, absolutely.
And so
I'm
what
like,
did you say, Dan?
He
This
would.
is what we
He would
do.
just. He's like, "This is how we do things here, and you're gonna do it like everyone else."
Did he?
I'm
Did
like,
you? Did you give it? Did you ever be like, "I get it," or you never got it? Just
No,
I'll do
I
it if
think
you want me to.
I eventually got it, but there were lots of uncomfortable conversations,
Yeah.
and that's the beauty of having someone like that in your life. That
Well,
will tell you the truth.
Tell you
right?
the truth. That's a thing
That
now.
will tell you
That's
the
hard
truth.
now.
It is hard.
Do you see that? Would you have coached you, knowing you know yourself better than the way he did? Is that how you would coach you?
I think people like to be coached that way.
I know.
We
I
say
think the best players.
Yeah, we always talk
Yeah.
about like, oh, we can't coach them too
Yeah,
hard.
I know.
What does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
when you get to a time where you can't be coached and you can't coach, well, then the game's really got a problem. And we're kind of teetering on.
Do you see that in
oh,
WNBA?
oh yeah, you see it everywhere, right?
We see it.
I mean, I know we see.
We see it in the NBA, yeah.
And I think the WNBA is getting to the same place where the players have so much say in what the team looks like, that it's an inability for someone to coach you, someone to make you better, to make you uncomfortable. I don't think there's not enough leeway in that. And the older coaches struggle with that now.
Yeah.
I think. And if you ask anyone who coached 20 years ago and coached now, like,
Yeah, it's different.
it's different.
And some of it's fun, some of it's good, to be
Right.
honest. Some of the change I think is good because I think
Absolutely.
in the past it was too top down.
Right. There was a hierarchy.
But
you
I
couldn't
do
challenge
think
it.
now, I think you said something really interesting, was the best players or most players want to be coached. So this fear of pushing and pressing is a little unfounded, but it only takes one time for a coach to burn an important player.
Right.
And they say, well, see you later.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
then they're scarred.
Absolutely.
And then that coach, whether it was a high school player transferred or a big time college guy or NBA player demanded a trade or WNBA player signed somewhere else and they reference, well, I didn't get along with the coach.
Mm-hmm.
That coach then says, many of them, I can't coach like that anymore.
Well, and it's funny because that players usually can't get along with anyone.
I know, but
it's
the media usually will not support. And I'm not saying the media does anything wrong,
Right.
but it's almost like, well, you got to keep that player at all costs.
Well, I mean, being in the WNBA for 20 years, being in basketball for 20 years, it's hard to keep a coach over
I know,
the most
yeah.
talented player.
Yeah.
I mean, rarely do you see that
Well, you
happen.
probably shouldn't.
You shouldn't.
Right. Right.
probably
But then
shouldn't.
you say that player that you're saying that is difficult is going to be
Right.
difficult in the next place.
It's
but,
probably gonna be difficult anyways.
but then you're kind of like, which way do you?
Well,
you know?
and this is where I mean, this is probably more a question for you because you're the GM and you have to build a team. It's like, and we always talk about culture. What's the culture? Is it you putting sayings up on the locker room? Is it the actual players? Is it macro? Is it micro? Is it the head coach? Is it the fans? Is it the past?
Well,
What is the culture?
Okay, so
Who dictates the
You
culture?
can interview me too. You know the answer to these questions, but it's the best answer to that is the players.
Right.
That is the players that.
Correct.
Yes, correct. Yes. Not me, not the coach, but if I looked at all your career, that it's not luck that your teams win, right? Now you could say, oh, I'm good. You are a really good player, but it's more than that, right? So you might be able to, at this point in your career, take a young, talented player and say to your coach, and the coach says, I can't coach her. Coach, I got it. Don't worry. Danny, can you help me? Yeah, I got it. No problem. She's kind of difficult. She won't listen to me. Let me handle it.
Right.
That is by far the best kind of culture you can have. when you lean on a coach or GM to lead, that's a problem.
Right.
It's not a problem because they're incapable or don't want to. Players need to lead players. Those are the best teams. Those are the teams that sustain success, right? And you've been around teams that you need talent. Sure,
Absolutely.
you need talent. But I think you could say more than I do because you've played professionally. You might have been on a team that lacked leadership and lost because of it. But I don't know. That's your you would know more than I do.
I think we underestimate when we talk about sports and basketball in general, because that's the business we're in, personalities.
Yeah.
You have to have the right personalities around that will adhere to being a complete unit.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's probably the hardest part. And you know, because you've been here, when you have the right personalities, it just seems to work. And you don't have to have elite talent.
Yeah.
You have to have a baseline of talent to win. You just do.
Yeah.
But there has to be a component of personalities that can work together in this way that moves.
So I want to comment on that, but then I'm going to ask you a question. I agree. Nobody says it that way, by the way. When they say, what is the tricky part about building something in a team sport?
Right.
You don't play golf or tennis. You play basketball. I work in basketball. There's 5 people that play at one time. They need to get along. There's 15 people in the locker room. I use an example of a dinner table. If 6 or 7 of us go to dinner and you're talking the whole time and I'm talking the whole time and there's 2 people sitting down there that don't get to say a word and you and I get up and go, that was great. And you look at them and we don't even notice they're not talking and they go, I'm never going to dinner with those people again.
Right.
So it's not that different than a team. So can we have 5 of you? Probably not. Like, even though you're like that energy, that personality. So you're kind of like, I hold this part down. Like with our team, the Warriors, there's a place for one Draymond. There's a place for Curry. There's a place for Clay. That's the best thing we did. Now, how do you identify it? That's the hard part.
It is the hard part.
That's because you don't really know people.
Right.
You know, that's
but
the hard
at this
part.
point, can't you watch a game and be like, yeah, I don't think that's the type of dude we want on the team.
Can you do that?
I can.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
I can be like, yeah, that guy's never going to win.
You can, but do you know who they are? I always say when you hire somebody, you need to know who they are at their worst.
Ooh, I like
Their
that.
worst.
Yeah.
So when you've been in situations where, not many, where you failed.
Oh,
as a
absolutely.
team, then you find out. I don't really know. If somebody said, what's Diana like? Oh, I did a podcast with her. She's great.
Right.
What's she like? I don't know. We were playing ping pong that afternoon. She was a total ass. Like, when she lost, she cheated. She cheated on the score. She was talking shit, like after she won.
Right.
And they'd be like, that's, so then I get to know you.
Right.
I get to know you a little bit through this. But in a team sport, you know that. Who are somebody when it's not good?
Oh, and you know that instantly, right?
Yeah.
You know those guys. You can pick them out from a mile away.
Yeah. So you talked about not knowing what's next.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to do this? Like not WNBA, NBA. I'm talking to NBA GM.
Putting a team together just is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because there's so many components. I mean, obviously, there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And just having a conversation with you, I mean, you just learn a lot from
Sure.
people who've done it for a long time. So, I mean, I'm not even close to being in that realm. But, I mean, putting together a collection of people to do something, that's just fascinating. It would be something I would love to do.
I think you could,
I mean,
by the way. I think you could. And I think you will get that chance.
I mean,
I do think you will, if you want it. What do you think it would be the hardest part?
Well, there has to be a separation of falling in love. I think too many times I've seen where you fall in love with a player.
Okay.
You fall in love with
Have you done
drafting them. I've fallen in love with players, that we didn't draft. That's the problem.
Were you right? Were you right all the time?
I loved it.
No, seriously, were you right all the time?
Most of the time.
Really?
Most of the time.
You should do it.
Most of the time I've been right.
Really?
I haven't been wrong a lot.
Okay, so when you were wrong, why were you wrong?
I probably haven't been wrong. That's the problem. Every time I've said we need that and we've
You've been
passed,
right.
we've hit. The other team's
okay.
hit.
So you would,
And maybe it's harder when you see things when you're in the team too,
Right.
I think I'm sure you've had conversations with
Right.
Steph, like, oh, we need that guy, and you're
Right.
like, well, you know what? Maybe we'll go this
He's
way.
not, he would tell you, he's great at everything else.
He's not a great GM.
He wouldn't be able to say what you just said. So you said, be careful of falling in love with a player. Okay, so you're talking about the part of the job where you're drafting a player, signing a player,
Right.
trading a player. Okay.
Developing a player, and
So-
it's
so
like,
do you
what
think
is
that's
the
the
timeline
hardest
on
part?
that? That would be like, how long do you wait? How long do you wait until you know it's a fit or not a fit? I mean, and I guess you only know that by experience and by going through it and by, actually living it. That's probably the hard part, is when you invest in someone and you want them to do well.
Yeah.
Because you did see something in them, but you know what? It's just quite not there.
Yeah. What
Which might be really hard. I mean, that probably is the hard part.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard parts. Just like playing, there's a lot of, I think I would tell you that's the most enjoyable part, trying to figure that out.
Right.
Is fun. It's sadly, you would maybe be surprised, it's probably less of the job than you would want it to be,
Right.
picking the players. It more becomes managing what you were talking about earlier, the team.
Right.
However your style is, however you lead, you just take that and apply it to this, you'd be great. Because you've done it. You know how to do it. And apparently you have this unbelievable skill of identifying.
100%. I don't know.
So
Maybe I should
but
start a
not,
hotline.
but let me ask a question.
Yeah.
How do you come to a place where you want to do it in the NBA as opposed to WNBA? Not that you couldn't, I think you could do both.
Right.
But why the NBA?
Just get paid more money, more back pay. I've
Do you
been in the
need some
WNBA
money?
for 20
Do you
years.
need money? Do
No,
you
I
need
don't. I
some
wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for money anymore. I'm good now. I'm
Okay,
good.
Okay.
I'm good now.
So the money's out.
The money's
the
out.
same. WNBA offers you this, NBA offers you this.
Well, you know what? I would have to think about it.
Really?
I mean,
So it's not just
I
like-
love basketball.
Yeah. I believe
Men's
that.
and women's. I probably watch more women's basketball because I'm just, obviously always looking for the next,
Yeah.
diamond in the rough with third round picks that we have this
I
year.
need you to be a GM now. When you make a mistake, Diana,
Oh,
why'd you pass on her or him? What are you doing? Hey, I thought you were.
Hey, I thought you liked
You know you're
Halliburton.
going
I
to
thought you liked Halliburton.
You know you're going to. Yeah. Hey, Halliburton.
He's pretty good.
Yeah,
Huh?
he went 12. You were drafting 7. You have to move on though. You would learn this.
could've won every
I'll tell
year,
you what.
Bob.
I'll tell you what. You can't. I believe you'd be very, very good. But we joke about you getting everything right.
No. I'm
One thing you do
far
have
from
to
getting
do is
everything right.
when you do make a mistake, whether it's paying somebody or trading somebody or letting somebody go, living with that
Right.
is something that is hard.
Right.
Because I know you were close with Kobe Bryant. The
Oh.
Lakers get him at 13, right? That changed their franchise for 20 years.
Right.
Right? It wasn't the number 1 pick. Like you go one and everybody goes, well, she's unbelievable. She won. So 12
It's a
teams
no-brainer.
said no to him.
Right.
Had any of those teams taken him, their franchise, maybe their value of their franchise, maybe certainly their titles, it all changes. So that's the thing where you will pass on, every GM, if you do it long enough, will pass on a player like that.
Right.
And then you go to bed and you go, we could have had that.
Well, I mean,
Man or woman.
talking about Kobe, it's like Steph and Book.
Yeah, yes.
2 guys that, were overlooked somewhat.
Yeah, yeah,
They were talented.
Yeah.
There was something special about them.
yeah,
But did we know they were going to get to this level?
yeah.
Did they know they were going to get to this level?
Well, that's a person, right? I don't know. I'd say Steph maybe didn't know.
Book did.
Did you? Did you know?
I think I knew.
You knew?
Yeah, I
must
just
feel
lo-
pretty good.
I just loved it. I mean, I just never got caught up in it in the number 1 pick, going to Connecticut. I just showed up.
But
I didn't-
no,
I did-
stop.
I
No.
didn't get fascinated by all that stuff. Like it didn't overwhelm me. It wasn't my life. Like
But did you, when you showed up at UConn, great program, great coach, good players, did you walk in and go, we're winning a championship? Like,
I didn't play my freshman year.
Okay, when you started playing. Or when you showed up, did you go, I know I'm going to play eventually and we're going to win a championship? Do you have that kind of confidence?
Well, at that time they only had won 2 championships, so it's not like they were. It's not like they were like Tennessee.
Right, okay, so they weren't
So they
dominant.
were still
Yeah.
the new kid on the block. There was still a lot of work. Like they had only won 2 championships in '95 and 2000. So it was still relatively an up and coming program.
Yeah.
And yeah, we looked around and it was like 10 All-Americans. We're like, how are we going to lose?
Sure.
Of course we're going to
Yeah,
win.
yeah.
And and then stuff happens, injuries. People didn't get along. The seniors looked down the bench and they were like, oh, this freshman kid's going to play. Like that dynamic definitely happened. And at the time I was too young to know it was even happening. I thought everyone liked me. Everyone hated me.
So
Coach Auriemma hated me too.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No. You're like, so WNBA, you get there.
Yeah.
Did you think when you're drafted 1, you're kind of like, did you think I'm winning this is happening? I'm going to win championships?
No. I
What did you
didn't
think?
have that.
Did you
I don't
anything?
know. Well,
See what happens?
I landed in Phoenix for the first time ever, and I said, this is where I'm going to live? I'd never been to Phoenix in my whole life.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about it. Nothing, not one thing. Like, I knew I loved Barkley back in the day with KJ and like, because the Lakers would always beat him, like I knew that. But other than that, I had no clue where I was going. And then I get there and it's funny, I get to Jerry Colangelo's office and I sit down and he goes, I heard your dad's from Italy and your mom's from Argentina. I'm like, yeah, you know. He goes, from here on out, you're 100% Italian. And I was like, where? I'm like, I'm either going to be buried in the desert or have a statue. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Oh, man.
It's going to go one way or the other. And then, you know, the year before they had won 7 games. So, I mean, it was a team that had success. They'd been to the finals, you know, 97. But, you know, I looked around and I was like, yeah, this team's going to have a long way to go. And we didn't make the playoffs my first 3 years.
Yeah. It's fun. Why I keep asking these things is you were, I think you can, I'd love to hear more about it, but you were close to Kobe. The first time I met him, I was at I just finished UCLA and got hired by a guy named Arn Tellem. And I walked in the office to meet Arn, or I wasn't even hired, I was going to meet with him. And Kobe Bryant was sitting in the lobby, and that was the time you probably remember, when everybody was wearing those retro jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
So he had a Joe Montana retro jersey
Oh,
on.
wow.
And this was right after they had lost to Utah, and he had airballed those right after that. So I guess it was after his rookie year.
90, what, 7, 8?
Yeah, I think, 97, 8.
Yeah.
So, hey, nice to meet you. We start talking, and it takes him about 10 seconds, we don't know each other, to say, I'm going to win 11 NBA championships, and then I'm retiring and playing in Italy. And he said it kind of like
Like he knew what he was going to do.
With so much conviction.
Right.
That you couldn't even, most people say they just start laughing, but it was kind of like, I dare you to laugh at that. I dare you to, because this is what is going to happen. And I think if I gave him a polygraph test, he would pass that test. Like, this is what I think.
He believed
Yeah,
it.
he 100%. I thought, not knowing you, that was more the way you thought, with your nature. But you seem, what you portray, it's not like you have doubt, but you don't have that, this is how it's going down.
Oh, no, I look in the mirror and think I suck every day.
See, but
I self-deprecate. I'm not one of those, like, self-positive, talk myself up. I feel like I suck, and I have to play the next day to prove myself wrong.
So
every
what's with
single
the
day.
trash talk? How do you get that confidence?
It's funny, I don't think I trashed. People voted
Really?
number 1. I'm like, who? I haven't
You
said
must-
shit to
wait,
anyone.
what do you
I'm talking to
mean?
myself.
Okay.
Like, this, when I'm on the court, I have nothing, like, it might seem like I'm beefing with everyone. I don't see anyone. I don't hear anyone.
So they're just making it up?
I guess so.
They're not making it. They have to like, so what are you, you're like a tennis player that just swears when you miss a shot?
I
and
guess
they think
so.
you're tough?
I'm like the McEnroe
But somebody
now.
told me you said something to Draymond. You were talking to Draymond.
Oh, I was talking to Draymond.
Okay, see.
I mean, that's
but you
like,
don't, but him, you pick
that's
on.
a prerequisite to being a friend to Draymond.
Okay, I got
like, you have to talk
But
to
only
him.
him,
Like,
nobody else.
yeah, we got into Olympics a little bit.
Okay,
You know,
all right.
me and Draymond go back.
So no
but
trash-
Kobe's just, so 2012 Olympics, we're up in the Nike suite, we're hanging out, and they just lost us to Boston in the finals. And he's going through like a Sports Illustrated, and there's a picture of Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
And he rips the picture out of Paul Pierce, and he folds it up, and he puts it in his pocket, and he goes, motivation. And me and a couple, and we're just like, all right, he's next level crazy.
Yeah,
like,
yes. Yeah.
He like speaks it into existence.
Yeah, I don't think I've met, I mean, there's people that you, I think Michael Jordan was probably like that.
Absolutely.
I think Kevin Garnett has a lot of that. But Kobe, I think to live that, if you're that way, that's all it is. It's hard. But did you see him much after he was done playing?
I did. I actually probably spent more time with him when
You
he was
did. So
playing.
I thought, I
Yeah.
knew him when he was super young.
Absolutely.
And then not as much during all his success, and then afterwards. But I thought afterwards he had this peace.
Yeah.
Did you think that?
Yeah, he let go of that.
Yeah.
honor. And
Which I thought it was nicer to be. I think he needed that to do what he did.
I think he put so much into it that
Yeah.
it was exhausting by the end.
Yeah.
To carry that armor.
Yeah.
And he
Did
needed
Did
that.
he ever admit that to you?
No, but
Yeah.
I think he needed that to get him by those
Sure,
years.
yeah.
You know, especially at the end with injuries and, roster shakeups and, just a lot of the chat of like, should we pay him? Not. I mean, I think a lot of that, like,
Yeah.
no matter what, when you get older, you hear and you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
like let me do something about it. And that armor took him a long way. I mean, some of those teams. Those last 2 Laker teams, I mean, they weren't great.
I know.
I mean, you look back on
Yeah.
some of those guys, you're like, man, Sasha Vujic was playing 35 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
Nothing against Sasha.
No,
but-
no, I know, but people forget the weight of leading anything, and even if you're great, which he was, the mental, like you said, the fatigue
Right.
of carrying something, of playing hurt, because he didn't
No.
miss games.
Well, everyone talks about being a leader, right? One, to be a great leader, you have to be a great follower first.
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to like function and follow and listen. But, you know, I always tell people like, what is it to be a good leader? It's like you actually have to care about everyone.
Yeah.
You have to ask how you're doing when you're not doing. Like you have to take care of people. Like, and a lot of people just can't do that. They can only worry about themselves.
Yeah.
And take care of.
Yeah.
Even some of the best players, like they're just worried about themselves, and it is a big burden when you take that on.
When you play, are you more of, when you walk in the locker room?
I know everything.
You do. You just
I'm
know
like,
it.
oh, tonight's gonna be a night.
Okay.
Tonight
you know
we gotta
that
go in-
because
oh,
you just walk in and
It's
feel it.
energy.
Yeah. A lot of people don't do that.
No, I know. Well, there's a lot of players, and I
don't see it.
always joke, and I'm like, God, I wish I was that player that
Yeah, totally unaware.
Nothing could with
Yeah,
me tonight.
yeah, yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like for me to be at my best, I need everything to be in order.
Yeah.
I need everyone's energy to be right.
Yeah.
I need to know what you need to know what you're doing. Like the GM better be
Yeah,
happy. The
yeah.
coach better be good. Like media personnel better be in a
Yeah,
good mood. Like
yeah.
everything needs to be in sync for you to be at your best. And there's players that don't give a about anything.
Yeah.
And get you 20 and 10.
So when
And
you
go
see,
home.
so take me one of the playoffs or in these difficult, not difficult, but high pressure moments.
Right.
You walk in, WNBA finals, you see one of the starters over there like this. Maybe because they didn't play
Right.
enough or they didn't get enough shots.
Right.
Do you go over and go, what's going on?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
do you leave it?
Oh no, I go. I don't like leaving things unsaid.
So-
like let's just talk about
Yeah.
it, get it going, and
Yeah.
because that's the only way you can move past something.
Yeah.
Right.
So
or I'll
you
just
say
hit him
you-
over the head. I'll smack on the head and like, let's go. Come on, get over it.
So you,
Because that's selfish.
I know, but you talked about this need to prove yourself.
Oh yeah.
And that uncertainty, but it feels like in relationships, maybe you're very confident in your relationships.
Oh,
understand?
Without a
But
doubt.
that's a confidence in yourself, right? Because you go, I can go over to that person, because I can hear that too.
Right.
You want to come with me with that, I can hear it, but I need to tell you this, which is a unique quality too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and sometimes you're actually talking to yourself.
Right, right,
While
right.
you're talking
right,
to them.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're talking to yourself and making sure you're reset.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could work both ways.
Yeah. So as far as in that regard, when you have seen stuff and you've approached it, is that when you walk in, do you say, I got to get this team in order, or you can't not see it? Does that make sense? I use the example of a dinner table.
I can't ignore
If
it.
you and I were eating dinner with 5 other people, are you the one that notices that person's not talking?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because you know a lot of people don't have that burden. You talk about the burden when people say, I don't care, I'm getting my 20 and 10.
Right.
That's a difference between I see the problems
and I'm gonna
and I don't ignore them, or I would argue most people don't see
Well,
them.
it's like the guy who could never make the extra pass. It's like, is
Yeah, I
he
didn't
as
see you.
selfish
Yeah, right.
or
Yeah,
he
yeah.
just can't see
Yeah,
it?
I know,
And
I know.
you're right.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
they just don't,
They don't see it. Yeah, but you do, and
I
you
do
have.
see it.
See, that to me is a weight. You played how many? This is 18. You're going to play for
18, yeah, two
two
more.
more. So you'll
Hopefully.
play 20 years, and that's not a fatigue to do that.
Well, I think, and you know, I have this conversation with a lot of older players, and everyone says experience. You need to experience.
Yeah,
You need all this experience, but experience could be a crutch also.
yeah,
Because you know when it's done right, and you know that can't get done with this group.
yeah.
So I almost have to backtrack and get in this naive mindset going into a season. Where like you forget when you were younger, you just played. You didn't think, you didn't overanalyze things as much because you were just in the moment. You were young, you know, your mind's fresh, your body's fresh. And as you get older, you start maybe like picking apart little things that maybe don't even matter.
Yeah, that's our Iguodala. No, I think
And you
you're
become,
right.
you become
No,
like,
yeah.
oh man, we're not doing that, we're not
Yeah.
doing it. It's like you almost have to like retrain yourself to be a rookie again. And that's
Yeah.
why I say every training camp, I try to put myself into a rookie mindset. Like all these things do matter.
That's pretty good.
And it's hard because you do have this built-in bank of
Can't
experience.
ignore,
and-
yeah, that's coming up inside you. You
Right.
can't just.
And I try to use that experience in other ways where like I can identify I play a lot quicker on the court than I could 10 years ago because it's happened to me 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So like make that your strength instead of like, oh, this guy's being an we're not going to win a championship.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, that's a little lazy.
It is lazy.
Yeah. You got, somebody calls you and says, we're going to get Brittney.
Yeah.
And then is it, is it you going, I'm going, or is it we would like you to go, or how did that whole thing go down? Let me see if I can make it.
I mean, the minute
I know,
got
but
the call,
did you get a choice, or or did you say, can I go, or was it
no,
like,
no,
would you like to?
No, they asked.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I got a call from our GM. They're like, we're going to go get Brittney in San Antonio. Would you like to come? I'm like, absolutely.
Okay.
You know,
Right.
and like I said, some people hugged her, and I just hit her in the back of the head, like, let's go, we got work to do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But it was one of those moments that you don't realize how much you miss someone until they're gone for that long, you know, and to see the relief on her face. And like, I lived in Russia for 10 years.
Yeah.
You wouldn't walk into half of those restaurants, let alone a prison. So I could understand like what prison life was like.
Have you had a moment with her
We
besides
have.
hitting her hitting her in the back of the head and like?
Well, I've repeatedly
abusing her?
done that.
Yeah, besides beating her up.
Yeah, we've actually had. I mean, we've been in the gym, and you know, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a journey that she has to go through. Like, these are uncharted waters in a lot of ways for us too. Making sure that, you know, we have everything in place to make sure she can just focus on the things that are important. Because there's going to be a lot of things,
Sure.
a lot of noise that, you know, as much as we had last year trying to get her out, which was, you know, huge props to the people that just really gave up a year of their lives to try to make sure all the attention and all the energy and all the resources were to get her back. And you know, those people, they deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah, I didn't know for somebody that you were obviously right near everything. Did you feel like the support was what it was it more than you thought? Was it not enough, or was it too hard for you to gauge it?
Well, you know, it was you were kind of caught in the crosshairs where you were trying to focus on a season and you were trying to like live normal life, and then, you know, we sit down for dinner and we would think about, man, she's in prison in Russia. Like, it was almost this, you know, distorted dream that you would have. And to be honest, I didn't think she was going to get out.
Really?
I did not think she was going to get out.
Is that because you know what it was like over there?
Well, I know certain things and the way their system is, people don't get out.
Yeah.
People still aren't getting out.
So you were dealing it from a point of like, because I think most Americans were probably thinking, oh, a month, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
You were kind of like, you don't understand.
I was prepared not to see her for 10
Wow.
years.
Yeah, that's different.
It is. I was already trying to make plans to go and visit her, like, you know, with my Italian passport. And they were like, that's probably not a good idea. I was like, well, I'll wait a little bit then.
When you made the choice, you said UConn was a big thing.
Yeah.
When you said, I'm going to go play in Russia, right? See, I think in our league, people don't need to leave the country to make money.
No.
And so was there a thought of, or is there now, I wish I didn't have to go to Russia to make money
I
playing
liked it there.
You did?
I really
Why? How?
enjoyed it. It was only basketball. There was no media. There was no extra fluff. There was no drama. It was
That's interesting.
get to practice. I got to play basketball. I mean, were there times where, you know, I missed my family and my friends? Yeah, but for the most part, like, you know, that's the one place where I felt like I was valued.
Really?
Like, this
Well,
is how I should be treated. This is how I should be compensated.
I see, for your talent.
Yeah, and it was crazy because of all places,
Yeah.
I had to go to a communist country
Yeah.
to be paid like a capitalist.
Crazy. And so the basketball, it was simple in a way.
Well, it was
Not
simple.
not being in Russia, but it
was-
was almost like I'm here to. When you say no media, no,
Right.
it was kind of like the goal was I'm just here to play basketball.
But, you know, it was always a catch-22 there.
Right.
Like, to say it was easy, and then it was like, you know, here they teach you left, right layup. Over there they teach you right, left hand scoop underneath the ear layup. And you're like, that doesn't make sense. But it didn't matter what I said because it made sense to all of them.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so for as easy as it was to just say it was basketball, then there was a whole different way of like not knowing the language, not knowing their customs, not knowing anything.
Yeah. And so that's
And living in that world of just, I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what
Yeah.
they're talking about. Most of our coaches were Russian. All the players were Russian. We had a translator,
in
but
10 years.
10 years in Russia, 2 years in Turkey. Yeah.
And anything you would go back on so you're 18 years professional.
Yeah.
There, anything, any moment or situation where you would say, I wouldn't have done this, I would have done that.
Oh, God. Probably the one regret I have is in 2014, we won. And then I signed a 2-year extension in Russia,
Oh, you couldn't, yeah.
but I had to sit out a season. I had to sit
Because
out
that was in the contract?
Yeah, I had to sit out the 2015 season.
That's tough.
And and it was tough because we had a great unit. We were all in our prime. We just won best record ever to this day. And that was kind of,
Oh, it's
that
brutal.
could have been, like thinking back on it, that could have been,
You might have,
we could have ran a couple in a row. But then, you know how things happen when people leave a situation, other things arise, and then you try to come back to the same situation. It's not the same.
but for people to understand that, you're not, I don't think you're making light of it, but that's Steph Curry. We win in 2017 with Kevin, and it's kind of like, we're set up here.
Right.
And he goes, hey, I got to go to Russia, and I'm out next year. And everybody's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then you got to bear that responsibility, and you're going to miss out on that group.
Absolutely. And that group's never the same.
Right? No.
Like,
it's funny when you leave. You always everything changes.
Well, I think I don't have regrets, but I look back on my career and I'm like, we should have won it that year. But, this person got hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we all do when we played basketball for a long time or whatever sport. You think of these moments like, if that would have been a little bit different, I could have 5 right now, but I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't go through, down that rabbit hole a lot because it's hearsay and, it won't change anything.
Yeah.
There are times where, there's been a season where like, you know what? I didn't lead this season. I know.
And why?
Energy.
Yeah.
No point.
No point. Like,
Eh.
they're not worth it.
It's,
Or the season
yeah,
ain't
you know
happening?
what? It's too much work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too much work.
But that doesn't feel good.
I got to get myself ready.
Yeah.
How am I going to get? I got to get myself ready. I mean, I'm just.
Yeah. I got to take.
You get yourself ready.
Yeah,
What do I got to do with
yeah,
you?
yeah.
There are times where you're just
Yeah.
like over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
It's
you're
tiring.
tapped out.
It's tiring. Yeah.
The tank's on empty.
Yeah.
But then you backtrack and you're like, shit, if I would have just,
I know.
we could have.
Yeah.
But those are learning experiences that I have those too. I have
Yeah.
plenty of years that I've tapped out.
Yeah.
Did I play just as hard? Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't do all the little extra stuff.
Yeah.
Like after a game, be like, we got this.
Yeah,
Just
I
those
know.
little things that keep you engaged, that keep everyone connected.
Did you ever win it in a year where you tapped out?
No.
Yeah. Right.
No. And we've not won it in years where,
You'd put
I've
it all
been
in.
just
But you never
And I always
won it
say-
when you tapped out.
no. If you tap out, you have no chance.
Well, if you tap out,
If I tap out, there's no chance.
I bet you've won with other people tapping out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you know that?
When they've tapped out? Oh yeah.
What I just said. Do you understand like that uniqueness? Like you're like they can tap out, but I can't, and we're gonna get there.
Well, and and this is once again when you have it, it's kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
once again you
Yeah.
get lazy with it,
Yeah.
or you just think it's too much work, or the work it's going to take,
And it's a lot.
and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a big burden on you, and
Yeah.
as you get older, different things become important. Kids, life.
Yeah.
When I was 25, all I had to worry about was 11 knuckleheads and let's try to drag this thing over the finish
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Now my energy is
Yeah. It's
pulled in-
different. It's
in
different.
ways.
Family.
Your very first bet with Caesars Sportsbook, it's on Caesars. Just sign up with promo code OMAHAFULL, then place your first bet. If you win, great. Keep your winnings. But if your first bet loses, you'll receive a stake back as a bonus bet.
Who's your 5 favorite NBA players right now?
Wow. Oh, right now, currently?
Yeah.
I love Book. Love how he competes. He just competes his off every time he's out on the court. And there's something about that I just love.
Yeah.
Like you just feel his energy and his competitiveness and we're going to get this done. Is it always perfect? No.
And you've seen him a lot.
I always say, if there's one guy that I would love Leo to be like, it's Book.
Wow. That's high praise.
He is just, since the day he got to Phoenix when he was 19, he's just has this maturity, this seriousness,
Yeah.
this respectfulness, this gratitude for where he's at. And I mean, we know he's had a lot of things that he could have complained about in the last 10, 12 years. It's been incredible what he's been able to do. It's
So,
really
all right,
been
so-
incredible.
He's your number 1 pick. Who?
Book, yeah.
Okay, you got him.
I love
What
Book.
else you got?
I mean, I love Steph. I mean,
Okay,
Steph
great.
is,
It's a good backcourt.
I always said he's the ultimate WNBA highlight. Which I don't know if it's good. I think it's amazing, I think he's.
But you're not just, everybody loves watching
Well,
him.
I mean, because you think you can do what he did,
Yeah.
but you can't.
Yeah, he feels relatable, and he's definitely not.
And he's just on
I
steroids
know.
beyond that.
It's kind of a trick like that.
He is.
Like, he's small, he's not like, yeah, but what he does is much harder than...
It's incredible just watching him work in a game. And he just works it and works it and works it.
Yeah.
And I love it when it's not going his way
that's
because you
his
just
thing.
know. I'm like, I know what's going to happen
And that's
right
his
now.
confidence.
And it always comes back around to him.
That's the thing I think that's being around him is his belief is so strong. As you being an athlete, you even said a little bit, and I don't know if that's in the moment, but where even the best athletes have doubt.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's his superpower.
Well, you know what? You run faster when you're getting chased and you're a little scared.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Someone's chasing you with a knife, you're going to run fast.
You're gonna go. All
And
right,
that's
so
how I always feel before a game. I'm a little scared.
yeah,
a
the
little
health.
nervous.
Steve calls that a healthy fear.
I'm right here.
Appropriate fear.
I see what's going on, and
All right, so you got who else?
this guy is gonna. If he takes it serious in the next year, is gonna be the biggest problem ever. Is Luka. If he could just figure out how to take it serious, he might be the most unstoppable force in the game for a long time. Because he can shoot, he can pass, size, just knows the game. He's gritty. He'll take the big. But he's got to get his life in order. He's got to get in shape. I mean, I've been there. I've been the baby fat baller. Like, when you're young and, you can get all the things done, even being a little bit out of shape. He needs, if he can just really focus on being in the best shape ever, I mean, that guy's ceiling is above and beyond anyone else's.
So who are the other two?
Boy, that's just three. I just have three.
Oh, you have three. Okay.
Three's
All
good,
that's
right?
Good. That's fine. Last question. You kind of answered it, but Leo and what's your daughter?
Isla, baby Isla.
Isla. Okay. They're young.
They're young, yeah. 5 and 18 months.
Okay, so they're young. They get to watch you play, which is that? What does that mean to see your son or even daughter, even though she may not know?
Well, Leo's at that age where he knows something's up.
Yeah, he does.
We'll go to the grocery store and people come up. Yeah. We'll go to the mall and people. So he's starting to understand. Hey, who are you?
Yeah.
And then when Space Jam came out, he lost his mind.
Yeah.
Like he was just in awe. Like
why are they picking you?
He kept watching the movie and like.
Yeah. When you see them, what are you thinking? Because the fact that he knows a little bit, is it fun for you to see them watch you?
I think it's just fun for him being in the gym.
Yeah.
Like he loves coming after the games because he knows he gets to get snacks.
Yeah.
Like it's those little things that like he's going to be able to experience that he'll remember forever.
Yeah.
Like, will he remember the game?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But he'll remember like going to the arena. Yeah. He'll remember these kids, too much, right?
Yeah. Oh.
He goes to the game. He goes, why aren't we in the suite? He's 5. I'm like, what are we going to do with these kids?
That is not, I can't, I'm not good at that.
Where do we go from here?
I know. It's so bad with my daughters. I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad, but they asked me one time, hey, Dad, can we sit up there one time? Like pointing to I go, we kind of got this in reverse. You guys have never, they go, those people get to sit up there. And I go, they want to come down, so anyways.
Never go back. It's like going back and watching
I know,
old
it's
TV
my
shows.
fault. It's not their fault.
It's
my
not.
fault.
And that's why we talk about all the time. Like, when you give them a lot, where's the grit? But maybe there is no grit, but like, can they be caring human beings? Can they be functional human beings? Can they think for themselves? Can they, make rational decisions with having all this shit everywhere?
Well, the risk is, I ask people, and you didn't, I think you grew up safe.
Yes.
I think you did, but
Absolutely.
not easy.
No.
So that made you in many ways. That fact that you didn't get every pair of shoes you wanted to, and you didn't have every piece of clothing. I asked Draymond one time, who grew up not easy, and I said, what if you grew up like your kids are growing up? He goes, well, I wouldn't be me.
No.
And I go, but the risk we take is, let's say you decided to go live in Saginaw with your kids and raise them the way you did. The risk you take, because if you could take Leo and Isla and say, we're going to grow up like I did, you're going to go to the same kind of schools, you're going to have the same kind of stuff. But the risk you take, instead of going, well, you're going to go to private school, you're going to get the best education. If you knew they would come out
Right.
of it fine, but if they didn't, you go, I should have put them over here. I could have done it.
Because most of the people didn't.
I know.
And we had this conversation before we had kids, and we were like, they're going to public school.
Yeah.
I went to public
I
school.
know.
My sister went
We
to
did the
public
same
school.
thing.
Oh, my friends went to public school. He's not going to
I
public
know.
school.
I did the same thing. My wife and I did the same thing.
And you try to give them better than what you had.
But then you go, they get a lot. So when you're 30 for 30 or whatever comes along, and I'm imagining like not now, but later on, they talk about you, and your kids are old enough to understand what you've accomplished, but they didn't get to see it.
Right.
So they don't really know that you. They know you after that.
Right.
What do you hope that they say when it's their turn in front of the microphone and they're mature enough in their 20s or 30s to answer that question and go, what was your mom like? What do you want those answers to be? What do you hope comes out of their mouth?
Oof. I mean, we try to be very simple the way we bring them up, give them this care and this love that once they walk out that door, you're not going to have.
Right.
But once you're in this house between these walls, like, we're going to give you everything you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we going to make it easy for you? No. We're going to try to, make sure you understand how to make your own decisions.
Yeah.
And take care of your own problems. Will we be there to help you? Yeah.
Yeah. So you hope they gave us an environment.
The tools.
Yeah.
To be functional in this world, as we know, is much different than when we grew up. Like, I didn't get a cell phone until I was in college.
I know.
I couldn't imagine. It's like, how did we know where the party was?
Yeah.
How did we know who to hang out with? When did our parents pick us up at practice? Like, how did we get to Costa Mesa High School from Geno with no Google Maps?
Yeah, how did it even happen?
You had a little notebook with like the 60 to the 22 to the 405. It was just, the problems that they are going to face now are much more complicated than we did.
Definitely. And they already, soon.
And you have teenagers now.
So it's the phone, it's a lot.
And you can't protect them from everything.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure they have the tools to be able to combat some of these things that are going to come at them fast and furious.
And you know what I think you're saying too is, for someone that has accomplished so much, like you have, tremendous, in your space, there's not much more you could do. It's interesting to talk to people that have done those type of things. It's that they don't necessarily want it for their kids. They just want their kids to be good kids. And it's fascinating to me because it's not that what you did, it's fantastic.
Well, I did it because I loved it.
I know.
So we want them to do something.
But you also know that, like, whatever people think that was, now you're raising your own kids. And you go, yeah, I saw that. I know what that is. It's not, it doesn't solve all your problems.
And don't get me wrong, if they want to do that.
I know, sure, I know. But if they don't, that's completely fine.
I ask Leo all the time, Leo, what do you want to be when you grow up? A zoologist. I'm like, oh, shit.
See, that's
I'm like, okay, then we're going to the Amazon.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna go to the Amazon. Yes. That's what we're gonna do.
Support it.
Because he wants to be a zoologist.
Oh, that's awesome.
And,
I love that.
And if he one day wants to pick up a ball and
that's good too.
And put all his, heart into that, then I'll be sitting up in the gym.
Are you gonna be Are you gonna be yelling at the refs?
Well, it's funny. Every time we get in the car, I go, I'm not going to say anything. And the minute we get to the soccer fields or the gym, I'm the first one talking. And Penny goes, I thought you weren't going to say anything. I'm like, I just can't help myself.
See, you're going to struggle with that.
I know.
You're gonna struggle.
Well, I have I have Argentinian blood, Italian blood, just all the hot blood.
When we reconvene in 10 years in our anniversary podcast, you'll just tell me, so I'll say, hey, Dana, how many games you've been kicked out of? And you'll say, well, what sport?
Exactly.
Well, you got kicked out of the soccer.
So back in the day, they used to have this tree that they used to put the parents that, talked a lot of shit or would yell too much. Yeah, at the soccer fields. And guess who would always end up at that tree?
Was it mom or
my dad.
Your dad. Wasn't mom.
No, my mom would be like, who brought this guy to the field?
Hello?
Or like, your dad. He was an animal last night at the Mercury game.
Is he still doing it?
Oh my God, yes.
Really?
He loves it.
Yells at the refs or the other team?
Everything.
It's so great.
He yells
you
at
got
me
no shot. You have no
after
shot.
every game. He goes, Diana. And he knows not to give me any basketball advice. Like my mom knows. He goes, Oh, this is all he says. This is the only criticism he ever gives me. You have to get in the paint. You gotta go inside. Go inside. Go inside. That's all he tells me. And he's right. And I gotta attack. That's when good things happen. When you go inside.
But what do you brush that out? You go, come on. Let's go get some.
I don't want to hear about it. He just knows. He says it and it dies. Like there's no response. There's no you're right.
He wants the interaction.
He
goes, wants you to say something.
And he just goes, yeah.
Okay, I see. I know.
It's like he knows I'm right. Like he knows he's right. Just go inside. That's it. See, it's a simple game.
Yeah, it is simple.
We overcomplicate it, and it's a simple game.
Leo, get inside.
Just get inside.
Go inside. Hey, Miss Taurasi, can you please
go to that tree?
Yeah, can you go actually? Thank you for coming on. So
Absolutely,
awesome. Thanks
Bob.
for having me.
For having me.
Appreciate it.